Israel and Palestine, a study in sibling rivalry. Last week's Palestine-Israel routine at the UN momentarily brought the house down, but it was a remake of an old script that has lost the plotline, featuring two long-in-the-tooth guard dogs who have been trained to snarl to show dominance, but would rather take a nap instead. And like exhausted adult children with senile parents, the viewing nations had to remain patient and appear interested in a story that's been repeated over and over endlessly for years. Astrologically, the relationship between Palestine and Israel is a story of opposites attract, but of the most primal kind, in that it involves the polarity of Taurus and Scorpio, the axis of security and desire, survival and procreation. Both nations adhere to their astrological profiles pretty well. Israel, the Taurus, is stubborn, tenacious, clannish, survival-oriented, and slow to change. And like Taurus, there's a bit of a scarcity mentality and underdog complex. Palestine, the Scorpio, is proud, determined, manipulative, seductive, and has tremendous powers of regeneration. And we have to remember that the low form of Scorpio loves drama and conflict and has major trust issues. Both nations are fixed in their natures and can only see the world through their respective limited lenses. Yet in many ways, they both want the same thing: security, the missing key in their respective histories. When one looks at the unhappy marriage chart of the two nations, it shows a Gemini twinship story, one energized by sibling rivalry: Mars, Juno, and Gemini. They get off on conflict, and like twins, it's a way to create a sense of differentiated identity, even though they are actually alike in many ways. And like brothers in on the joke, they love confusing outsiders by reversing the good guy, bad guy setup from time to time. This long-running show is not about to end soon, although with a beginning eclipse on their composite Juno, there is hope for reconciliation in the next 2 years, but it will certainly take a back seat to other more pressing world events. Because at the end of the day, this is just another Cain and Abel story in the history of the world that, while mesmerizing to the senior set, no longer interests or excites in light of the new, more visceral conflicts bombarding us every day. High-tech disaster movies garner greater box office ratings than a low-budget remake of the Hatfields and the McCoys. Palestine and Israel are hip to that, as tsunamis, earthquakes, and revolutions in other Middle Eastern nations are stealing their spotlight. So like veteran vaudevillian hoofers, they're going to take their show on the road once again in hopes of finding a new audience. Yet, despite the fact that this is all a distractive hologram, we, America, must be clear about whom we want to get or stay in bed with, because starting this fall, we will be forced to remain committed to any and all relationships for the next 29 years, Saturn in Libra. Now is an exit point, and if we choose to end the association, and the astrology suggests it is the right course of action, as this is a worn-out paradigm of engagement. And with the South Node and eclipses transiting through Gemini Sag, we must end the childish fracturing and small-mindedness, Gemini, and go the way of Sagittarius, a unification of truth and embracing of differences. To the United Nations and the world at large, I say, as adults, we should ignore Palestine and Israel's tantrums and grabs for attention, and not allow either of them to sit at the table of nations until they stop fighting and grow up. And certainly I wouldn't encourage them by taking sides, because that prolongs the petty drama. Because like snarky teenagers or territorial pets, once the spotlight is no longer on them, they will probably make up and snuggle in a corner together and speak the special language of twins that no outsider could ever understand. And who knows, like the couple who engages in conflict as foreplay, by our leaving the room, they might just get busy and give birth to a beautiful child. Please join us next time as we continue to explore themes both public and personal. We appreciate your comments, and please continue to rate or subscribe to our videos. Thanks for watching.